This episode of the Drone Radio Show podcast is presented by Pix4D, the leader in 3D mapping software for professionals. Pix4D's easy-to-use software converts images taken with any camera to precise and accurate 3D models that can be used in a variety of applications. To find out more, visit pix4d.com or start mapping with drones by downloading Pix4D Capture for free from the App Store or Google Play.
But for students to actually go out and work with the Shark Lab or communicate with, in a sense, a client, them being the Shark Lab, and adhere to the client standards and meet the client's demands, it's kind of a real-world scenario.
You're listening to the Drone Radio Show podcast, the show about drones and the people who use them for business, fun, and research. Hosted by Randy Goers.
Hello, everyone. This is Randy Goers, and welcome to the Drone Radio Show podcast, episode 263. Can a drone help us better understand sharks? Today's guest believes they can. Jay Seidel is a journalism professor and media advisor at Fullerton College. He also oversees the Fullerton College Drone Technology program and is the coordinator of the Fullerton College Drone Lab. The Fullerton College Drone Lab teaches students to become better and safer pilots, prepares them for the FAA Part 107 Remote Pilot Certification exam, and provides hands-on learning opportunities on the use of drones in various industries. In 2019, the lab partnered with the Shark Lab, housed at California State University in Long Beach, to capture and provide data on sharks. The goal of the study is to quantify recreational water use along Southern California beaches, advance the knowledge of white shark-human interaction behaviors, and assess the risk associated with marine recreation. Prior to becoming a teacher in 2005, Jay worked for 12 years as a writer and editor for various publications, including the Los Angeles Times and Popular Hot Rodding. He earned his master's degree in communications from Cal State University at Fullerton. And he served 11 years in the U.S. Army and California Army National Guard, where he worked as an engineer and photojournalist. In this edition of the Drone Radio Show, Jay talks about the Fullerton College Drone Lab and the collaboration with the Shark Lab to help better understand marine habitats. But before we hear from Jay, I want to thank those of you who are supporting my funding campaign. Whether it's $1, $100, or much more, you can help defray the cost of production and keep the podcast going and growing. Go to droneradioshow.com/donate. So let's learn how drones are being used to monitor shark habitats with Jay Seidel of the Fullerton Drone Lab. Let's pick up the interview where I asked Jay to introduce himself.
I'm Jay Seidel, and I'm a professor at Fullerton College, and I oversee the Fullerton Drone Lab at Fullerton College.
Jay, tell us about the Fullerton Drone Lab.
It is basically a drone training program, but not just piloting, but also the applications and the building side of things as well. So it's kind of a comprehensive drone training program through a community college in Fullerton, California.
Now, in addition to teaching students about drones, does the lab also provide opportunities for students to learn about building a drone-based business?
We actually collaborate with our business program and their entrepreneurial courses. So we incorporate an entrepreneurial class in regards to it. If students want to go that route, they can choose to take an entrepreneur class. But in the inner workings of our drone piloting classes, we talk about insurance, we talk about different types of businesses that you can do with it and what you would have to do. One of my first students out of my first semester class started as LLC by the end of the semester.
That's interesting. What type of business was it?
Doing real estate and roof inspection.
When did the drone lab begin operation?
Technically last year. Yeah, last year. It took me about 2 years to do a lot of research and development, looking what other training programs are out there and what other resources are available, and then just seeing, looking at best case, worst case situations that have been out there and hearing from different people in the industry and different people in the educational field, and then just finally putting it all together. And we got all approved through the state and everything last year. So last spring was our first set of classes.
How many students were enrolled in the class?
The first class was about 12. And then the next semester, we were able to offer 2 classes. One had 20 and one had 11. And then this semester, we went down to 1 class, and we have 24 in this class. By the way, these are just the piloting classes, I'm sorry.
What other classes are available?
The course load that we have a couple different piloting classes. We have a basic piloting class, which is your just basic 107 class. And that's the one that kind of gets students in from everything from a 16, 17-year-old high school student that's taking it through a special admit program to somebody, a roof inspector, a home inspector that's in there now, to a retiree who's just looking to maybe get a side job going, kind of have the whole gamut in that class. And then the other piloting class we have is a applied piloting class, which is the Part 107. But in addition to that, it actually gets into, we do some photo editing, video editing, and some Pix4D training, just so students can leave there with some background knowledge. So they've got not just the piloting skills, but actually how to use it. And then on top of that, those are just the piloting ones. We have an advanced piloting class too, which gets into more of the NIST training. And in addition to that, we do some night operations because we have a daylight waiver, and do some FPV training, and just really get students more stick time in the advanced class. In the lab side, we have the engineering class, which is basically the building class, and building and programming and designing and testing kind of class of aerial, terrestrial, and submersible drones.
Is this part of a larger program, or can students pick and choose classes as they like?
They can take and pick and choose if they want to, but we have been developing courses in a series that can create a professional certificate. On the engineering side, on the building side, we have a autonomous systems development associate's degree, and we also have an autonomous systems development certificate. But that's in conjunction with some engineering classes and some machining classes. So students, CAD and those kind of things. So students will have to take a kind of a series of classes, even outside of the drone area. And then we're creating other classes in regards to applications. We're doing a Pix4D mapping and basic photogrammetry class, which kind of introduces to students the applications of aerial mapping and aerial photogrammetry, some of the industry software, and training students.
So how did the Fullerton Drone Lab get involved with monitoring sharks?
We were actually displaying the Fullerton Drone Lab at the Huntington Beach Air Show, or the Great American Pacific Air Show last year. And one of the days we were out there, and we just had a booth, and one of the days we were out there, we were approached by a person who identified himself as one of the instructors at the Shark Lab at California State University, Long Beach. He said he'd been looking for us and that there could be some kind of collaboration. And then we started talking. I talked to the director. And basically what they were doing, they're conducting a 2-year research program to where they're mapping the beaches of Southern California from Solano Beach down to San Diego, all the way up to Santa Barbara. And they are mapping and cataloging shark activity and where the sharks are going onto the beach in conjunction with human activity along the beaches. And they just want to do it at different times, different beaches, different days, and they can just catalog this to help train lifeguards and help train cities that are along the beaches to be more aware and be more, they understand shark activity and for their own marine biological research. But in order to do that, they need aerial imagery. And they currently only have one student who's a grad student that's in the Shark Lab, works at a Shark Lab that is Part 107 certified. And so they were looking at us as a way to kind of help them out. So we started talking. We talked about the resources. We talked about their protocols and what they're planning on doing. I talked to my students, and my students became more more advanced that have already taken my class and looking for the advanced class. I said, hey, do you guys want to do this? We said yes. And the rest is history. So we've been kind of working with them since December is when we really started initiating it to go out and start mapping sections of the beach up and down the Southern California coast.
Is this purely a learning opportunity for students, or is there a paid component?
It's a learning experience. So the Shark Lab at Cal State Long Beach has been around, I think, since the 1950s. And it's just an extension of their marine biological program at Cal State Long Beach. And what they do is they have all the research out there as far as they've got buoys and they tag sharks, and it's an undergraduate and graduate studies program. Like I said, been around for decades. Now they're just doing this new research on mapping and cataloging. And by bringing my students in, this is a way for my students to then be introduced to kind of a real world application. I mean, there's only so much you can learn in flying in parks and flying in certain areas, but if you can do it for actual real world applications, then it's all the better for them to log the flight hours doing marine biological research with their drone.
Can you talk about the workflow? I mean, how do students know what they're supposed to do? How do you know that they're doing it? And then how's the quality control handled?
We're not marine biologists. Most of my students are coming from a bunch of different areas, but not necessarily marine biology. So we had to learn what we didn't know. And I've learned a lot about marine biology, especially in the Southern California region, and about sharks. And what the researchers at Cal State Long Beach were very good about having established protocols about this is what we do, this is what you're supposed to fly, and you're supposed to do this many kilometers, this many meters, in a zigzag kind of mowing the lawn pattern, and go down another kilometer and do another pattern. And we just kind of adopted their set of protocols and what they do for capturing their data, leaving the caption information on the videos so it keeps the GPS, longitude and latitude coordinates, and how fast the drone is going, where the drone is flying at that particular moment, so they can catalog all that data and capture all that data. Now, on their end, they're working on finding a robust enough program to make all this data easily found and searchable. But on our end, we're just capturing the data for them. So what we do is we just adhere to the criteria. They worked with us for a couple weeks. Once we got that down, then we're just kind of off and running, capturing the data, and then we just send it over to the researchers at Cal State Long Beach through a Dropbox, and they take it and catalog the video.
What have been some of the challenges for the students?
The initial one that we kind of got over is just scheduling. You know, a couple of my students have their Part 107 certifications, and so when we go out with the Drone Lab, then it's a little easier for them to take responsibility and be the PIC and fly the course. But most of the students who want to go out are not certified, so then they usually go out with me, and I kind of help coordinate with them. So a lot of it is scheduling and making sure everybody's available at particular times. But the luxury is the fact that the Shark Lab doesn't really care when the flights take place, just as long as they take place at various intervals. Another challenge that we've run into, like most drone pilots have run into, is airspace authorizations. And we have a couple areas that I'm applying for waivers. We haven't moved because of the current situation with coronavirus restrictions, but there's some controlled airspace near LAX and in the Malibu area, which is a national park, in order to get authorizations. So those are some challenges, but nothing that we can't really work around or work with and work through.
What are the students learning from the experience?
The students are learning real world experience. They're getting flight time, stick time for applications outside of the classroom, right? So whereas we do practice flights and stuff on campus in our football stadium where they can fly around and get experience flying, and that's great. But for students to actually go out and work with the Shark Lab or communicate with, in a sense, a client, them being the Shark Lab, and adhere to the client standards and meet the client's demands, it's kind of a real world scenario. Granted, it's two educational areas, so there is some of that kind of protection, I guess, but my students take it professionally, and they jump out there and they just want to do the best job that they can for for the Shark Lab, for the client, to get the right research and get everything they need. So one of the biggest takeaways for them is the value of that real-world professional experience while they're still learning in the classroom.
Have they gotten some really nice images of sharks?
No, not yet. We got a sea lion once, but the sharks, like I said, I've learned quite a bit about sharks in Southern California, and apparently the Southern California area is a prime spot for juvenile great white sharks. And that's really what they're doing the research on, these juvenile great white sharks that have been swimming and interacting with humans. It's just that they usually don't see humans as a tasty meal. They're looking more at like maybe some stingrays or something smaller, but yet the sharks are swimming around. And it just so happens that they really don't start coming into the Southern California area until about March, getting into April. The Shark Lab has informed me that they've had some notifications on their buoys, and they spotted some up in the Ventura, northern LA County area. And so they're starting to come into the area. So the first couple of months has just been cataloging and capturing this information, identifying seaweed and what floating seaweed is, and it's not a fish, and students learning how to identify that. So now that the sharks are going to be coming, then we'll start to get more shark imagery.
In regard to this study, what's the ultimate goal of the Shark Lab?
The goal of the Shark Lab is to find out more about sharks, because it's amazing that there's so much that they've expressed to me that they don't know yet. That there's so much data and so much information about, in particular, great white sharks that are just not known. So they want to work and research and catalog this information, find shark patterns, find out what they're doing. And so they know on the marine biological research, but also they want to showcase this to county lifeguards, city lifeguards, and state lifeguards to let them know this is what's happening, this is where your people are, and this is where sharks are, and so this is what you got to watch out for. And during this month and this month, this is the higher activity. During this month, there's less activity. And so be on the lookout for this, because if there is a larger shark, then maybe we should evacuate the beaches and those kind of situations.
Is the Drone Lab involved with other partnerships similar to that of the Shark Lab?
Nothing is, I guess, as fun, as the Shark Lab. The Shark Lab has brought a lot of attention because of the shark aspect of it. But we actually we're working with a couple other outside partners because, again, the value of real-world experience and real-world flight applications is something that goes beyond just classroom learning. So we are just finalizing a relationship with the Orange County Water District, which is the water district in Orange County, California, that we will be doing some mapping, we'll be doing some vegetation analysis for them, some floodplain analysis for them. So we'll be doing the aerial data acquisition, and we'll be working with some of the natural science programs, the students in biology and students in geology and geography, kind of gathering some of that data for the Orange County Water District. We are also working with a construction company doing just construction analysis and overlays and stuff for the construction that's happening on campus. The outside construction company reached out to us and asked if we could do it, and we could partner with them. So we're flying grids over top of as the construction is taking place. We are looking to reach out to other outside professional companies in different areas that may want to collaborate with us and may want to have drone pilots work with them in that capacity.
You mentioned that the idea for the Drone Lab came to you a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
What were you doing at that time that you decided that this was a learning opportunity that you wanted to pursue?
How this all started, how the Fullerton Drone Lab started, was my background is primarily in journalism and storytelling, and really getting into visual storytelling. And I was introduced to the concept. I've always had a passion for aviation. Years ago, my goal from third grade to high school was to go to the Air Force Academy and become a pilot. I was in the Civil Air Patrol and I flew sailplanes, and I've always had a passion for aviation. But as I grew older, things changed, and I found myself eventually in journalism and getting into media because I like photography and the visual aspect as well. And I was hearing a lot at the time about drone journalism and utilizing drones for journalism. I thought, oh, I don't know how that's going to work. I don't see how that could be feasible. But then the National Press Photographers Association and the Poynter Institute put on this drone journalism training boot camp at different universities around the country. They kind of did a hopscotch across the country. And so I thought, well, let me go check this out. I got some funding from our campus, and I went up to the University of Oregon at their Portland campus and did 3 days of drone journalism training. And going through that, that's when I drank the Kool-Aid. I mean, that's when I was all in because I thought, this is exactly what I want to do. I see the uses for this. I see the multiple applications, and I really want to get this into journalism. I came back and I started looking at putting the content together, and that's when I started researching all these different areas that use drones and how this technology can be used in even areas that haven't been developed yet. So I thought there is something here as far as applications and training that's needed. And I didn't see a lot of areas that were providing like collegiate training and good training in this. So I thought, well, let's go ahead and let's create this program. So I talked to the administration and they said, yeah, go for it, build a program. So for the next 2 years, I did a bunch of research and studies and writing curriculum for the different courses that we have, and finally got it through. And I'm still tweaking and adjusting because the industry keeps changing, but it's getting to a point now where it's almost, there's more demand than there is supply. I'm finding that there's a lot of industries out there that are looking or really want this technology or want to be associated with this in some way. Maybe they don't even know, but they're like, we need drones in some way. And it's just a matter of making sure that we have enough supply, to have enough students that understand about that you can get training in this. And there could be this new open field for you once you get this training and certification.
Where do you see the Drone Lab going and evolving from here?
I see the Drone Lab at Fullerton growing to be just this training entity, I guess, as far as everything about drones. We are working in a cross-discipline sort of area, so we're working with our geography program and developing some GIS certification training for GIS students. We're working in our physical education. They are using drones as far as the coaching certificate and coaching training. So students going to become coaches have to learn and utilize drones. There's administration of justice for public safety purposes. There's construction, architecture, all the standards. So we don't do it as just, hey, come in and fly. It's more of trying to find this career technical education on how can we utilize this tool for these various applications. So I see the Drone Lab continuing to grow and build on that. We have courses that we're developing in mapping and thermal imaging to really start training students in different and varied skills. Administration of justice, we're creating some specific police and public safety specific classes that students can take in those fields to learn how to apply the drones in those fields. So it's just going to be this multi-discipline, multi-application kind of approach as it keeps growing and building and then bringing more and more students in. That's where I see it going.
What's it been like for you working with students and introducing them to drones?
It's been great. Working with students is, one, that's the whole reason why I got into teaching. But two, that they seem so excited about it. And even when there's days that maybe I'm not feeling that optimistic or that up about things, whatever, they're so excited. So they keep me going. And they're coming in so excited with questions, with ideas. They want to try things. They want to try different drones. So it just inspires me to do more and more because seeing them and their enthusiasm just shows me that the future is bright for this industry.
Is there anything that we miss that we should talk about?
The Drone Lab is at a community college, so it's set to where students can come in. It's not like going to a university or anything like that. They can come in, take a class, take a training, and then move on. We are hoping to maybe become a testing center. We're working with the FAA to possibly become a Part 107 testing center to get the certification test. But students can come in and take the courses that they want. They can complete the certification if they want. Whatever they need, whatever they feel the skills that they need to develop with drones, we can offer it to them. And I think that's one of the great things, that students can come in and get what they need at a minimal price.
How do you describe the value that community colleges play in the drone industry?
Community colleges are a great way and a great avenue for the drone training to take place. I've been lucky to talk to a couple other professors and instructors who have set up drone programs at community colleges throughout the country. We sometimes communicate about the different things that we're doing and different ideas and those kind of things. So the community college, I guess, is a great venue to train students and train people in drones and drone usage and drone technology. So I would leave it a message for people to, if you're interested in drones and drone training, look at what your local community colleges offer and see if they offer the courses that you might be interested in, or at least to get certified or find some kind of application training through them, because there are a lot of great programs out there.
And my final question, Jay, what message would you like to leave regarding the Fullerton Drone Lab?
Just that, like I said, with the Fullerton Drone Lab, we're always striving to provide real-world technology, real-world applications. So nobody's really going to major in drone too much. I mean, there are some schools and some universities where you can major in autonomous systems and those kind of things. That incorporates a lot more of the engineering side. That's great. But for the people that just want to fly and apply it, learn how to fly and use drones for their particular business, whether it's inspection or real estate photography or mapping or surveying or something like that, and how they can get that enhanced skill. Like I said, one of the great things that we do with Fullerton College and the Fullerton Drone Lab is to offer that opportunity to get that real world experience and the real world applications. So students don't just get the textbook knowledge and don't just get the 107 certification. They actually have the stick time and maybe some logged hours on actual flight times with real applications.
That's it for episode 263 of the Drone Radio Show. I hope you enjoyed hearing from Jay Seidel of the Fullerton College Drone Lab. I want to thank Jay for taking the time to speak with me. If you want to learn more about the Fullerton College Drone Lab or want to connect with Jay, check out the website at drones.fullcoll.edu. If you like the Drone Radio Show, please consider supporting the podcast with a small donation. The content is always free, but for as little as $1, you can help defray the cost of production. To donate, go to droneradioshow.com/donate. And thanks for listening. Your support means a lot to me, and I hope you'll listen to more episodes of the Drone Radio Show podcast to hear how others are using drones for business, fun, and research. For the Drone Radio Show, I'm Randy Goers.
This has been the Drone Radio Show podcast. More information on today's show can be found on our website at www.droneradioshow.com. If you're using drone technology for business, fun, or research and would like to share your experience on the show, please visit our website and fill out a guest appearance application. And don't forget to follow us on your favorite social media channels.